Well, if you watch my previous video, you'll see that we're at the turn end. We're going through winter now, and it's the French move. I think I did tell you that the French are going to go for me this game. Here they go. That's offering me the opportunity to intercept with the troops that are in the fort, really. I'm not taking him on at all. I know he's attacked my industrial building in the middle there in order to affect my economy. Risked himself enormously by doing it and sat himself straight in the middle there. I'm just flicking through all the different things that have happened. Trained routes raided, recruitment report there, of course. That means my technology theft has failed against Bavarians there. I want to take the grenade. Okay, and historical note there. Hi all, welcome back to my Empire Total War United Provinces, oh dear, video. Doesn't bode well if I'm not speaking properly from the start, does it, really? Just having a quick look around Europe now, finding out what's going on. You'll know we're still trying to settle Alsace-Lorraine. We've been in there for goodness knows how many terms now, 4, 5, 6, 7 or something, I don't know. We're not raising any taxes there, we're still on a -4, and it's very, very difficult for the Dutch to occupy any European cities because they're so strongly Catholic, and our only Protestant minister is in Ceylon. We could have brought him over, of course, but then Ceylon was I don't know, it was Hindu or something as well, and that needed to be converted, so I left him there at the beginning of the game. Maybe I could bring him over now, but it would cost me a ship to do so, and I'd be exposing that ship or whichever fleet went over there to do that amongst all my enemies throughout the world. So unfortunately he's stuck there. Right, usual trick here. In fact, can you see that port there? He's expanding that port. That's his port for making decent sized ships there. So he's increasing it so he can get some better ships. If it takes him a couple of moves to get a ship, he wants to make sure that he's getting really, really good quality ships, because he's taking me on and he knows he's got a lot to take on there. So you only have to go in there once and the upgrade is gone, so all that he paid out for that is gone. Then I've done my usual trick of going in and out, in and out, in and out, which I've shown you before, in order to damage the building as much as I possibly can, to cost him a fortune again, of course. So the upgrade's going to cost him, what, another 1,500, and then to repair the building that I've damaged so many times again, perhaps another 1,500. There's 3,000 that it's going to cost him this turn just to repair the damage, or rather to recreate that port and repair the damage if he wants to. If he's just repairing damage, it's going to cost him probably about 1,500 to do that. So I've done quite a lot of damage there. We're over to the Americas now. If you remember, we're ganging up on Mexico. We need something that's lucrative, and like I said to you, the Dutch aren't good at making money out of Europe, I'm afraid. We are better, and it's right. The game is truly balanced, I think. You know, that we should be, as the Dutch, a colonial power. It's certainly where the British are colonising at the moment. Anyway, by landing in an enemy port with no troops in it, we can move immediately if we want up that road, straight on up to Mexico. But the forces I've got are not that strong. You have a good mix of troops. You can produce lots of them up there. It's Spain. I'm not directly fighting him anywhere else, so he's going to be strong there. So we're going to fight a holding action there. Main thing is to occupy that port now. Occupy it almost like a bridgehead, you know, so that I can bring other troops in. By occupying the port, it also stops other powers. You know, the British are expanding at the moment throughout the Americas. So by taking that port, I stop the British landing there and landing their troops there as well. So they can land on the shore, but they can't just land in the port and then move immediately. You know, so it's bought me a little bit of time by holding on to that. Yeah. It's exposing some troops, I'm afraid, to an attack, but you know, you have to take losses occasionally in the game, I'm afraid. Okay, just looking over at Europe, you can see that army that's placed itself directly in the middle of all my armies, right in the middle of Flanders, within easy reach now of Amsterdam. I've got no choice now but to go for that army. I can't possibly allow him to go on to Amsterdam and take on that small army that I have in there with that larger one that he has. I might be able to beat it, but he might siege it. by sieging it, he cuts off the income from it immediately. It would bankrupt me, so there's no way I want that to happen. So I'm going to show you a little technique now here. If you're not aware of this, some might not be. It's very handy if you've got rebels, this one to play with. You see that red area around there? That's his zone of control. If I enter that, he can intercept. Do you remember on the turn end I was given the opportunity to intercept? It's because he'd walked into my red zone during his turn. Now, what that red zone also demarks is the area in which you can come on as reinforcements. So the men I've got in the fort are slightly off screen now to the left and down. Here we go. Oh no, I've just gone past it now. Just going to have a look over at the ships again there, but I'll talk about the red zone in a minute when we get back to it. Here we go. I was just checking over there at the ships, but you'll see that red zone. If I were to move my troops from the fort just to the edge of that red zone there, then it would mean that anything that attacks his army, those troops will come on as reinforcements. Because they've only moved a short distance away from the fort, it means that their movement allowance hasn't been expended, which means that they can then easily pop back into the fort. So they can take part in a battle from a distance away without actually giving away their strategic position in the fort. I'll demonstrate that in a moment, of course. At the moment what I'm trying to do is get my ships in the right place. I've repaired them from the previous battle. Notice, by the way, that those fleets that the French had in that port, so it's just gone off screen there just now, just there, they've disappeared. Now I'd like to know how he's sneaking those past me, because he would have to go through my red zone of control. I should be allowed the opportunity to intercept. He's obviously managed to go through somehow. When you move a ship, if you go towards a zone of control, it will tell you that you can't move or your movement is blocked. What you can do is then go round, which is a shame, really. It means he's got past me. I don't know where he's taking them to, mind you, unless he's going over to Martinique. Really don't know. Anyhow, here we go. You can see we're right on the edge here. They're the closest troops. They can attack him and get back at the same time. So I'm not too worried about what I do with those. I'm more than likely to use those as the direct attacking force. If I were attacked from the fort, the one that's slightly off screen now, I wouldn't be able to get those troops back to that fort. It would leave the fort vulnerable to those troops then from Paris. All the others would come in, because they're close enough. Well, I'd have to move those slightly forward from Flanders, but certainly those from from Amsterdam. But those troops there from Flanders would certainly be involved. Anyhow, here we go. Pick out the troops. Just march them to the edge of that red line there, not into it. If you march them into it, then they can intercept and they can fight you, possibly on your own or with lesser numbers. The Allies is clever enough to do that, to think, well, hang on a minute, he can bring more armies in here, I'll take him now. Okay. Now I feel quite confident about entering the red zone now, because as you can see, I've now got 3 army units all on the edge of his red zone that would all fight him anyway. So if he decides to intercept now, it doesn't matter. But that's not the one I really want to fight him with. Yeah. Here we go. These are the ones I can get them in to fight him and back, and then move each of those supporting units that will come on as reinforcements afterwards. Notice, by the way, our attack is going to come from Flanders, which means that slightly behind and to the left, they're the ones that have come from the fort, they'll enter the battlefield there. Yeah. To the right, slightly above to the right, you'll find my other troops come. They're the ones from Amsterdam. The game has been improved with modifications to reflect, so that the battle rather reflects the campaign map. This shows me what troops I've got and also the reinforcements that are coming on in my favour. So I'm really going to be attacking him sort of from 2 sides. There are my troops, that's my main army. These are the ones that came from Flanders. Off to the left, on the same side, somewhere just off to the left of the screen now, are the troops that came from the fort. So if we look over here, we should just about be seeing those enter the battlefield. There they are. Got to be very careful with reinforcing troops, because they're set to simply march blindly right into the middle of the battlefield, and that's right into where he is occupying in the middle of there. So they'll march formation straight into the middle of that. Go straight over the top of there, behind them and slightly to the right, you should see my other army coming on there. Well, that's the deployment on the battlefield. It all makes sense. We'll be entering the battle properly during the next video.